trying to calm down so I don't cuss none of y'all out real quick. Hold on. Okay. For all those people that are in my comments and on my posts talking about why don't you hold your son accountable? Who the fuck y'all think I'm talking to? Who do y'all think I'm talking to? You think I'm talking about the mistake people that he out here entertaining? You think I'm talking to them? I have all them people blocked, so why would I be talking to them? I'm talking to my son, and I'm talking to anybody that he entertains in the future. Okay? I'm letting the future people know that you should get yourself in order before you come over here, because I'm gonna talk. You know, why you ain't holding your son accountable? Who the fuck you think I'm talking to? The rejects of America? Why would I be talking to the rejects of a fuck America that's looking for the land of home through somebody that ain't even ready to give nobody no home yet? Why would I be talking to them? This is lost cause.
Nobody had this on their bingo card, yet somehow the internet woke up to it anyway, because when Karlissa decides to speak, it is never quiet, never polite, and definitely never boring. 1 minute it is a random scroll, the next minute it feels like somebody leaked a group chat that was never meant to see daylight. This did not tiptoe into the timeline. It kicked the door off the hinges and demanded attention. Karlissa did not whisper, hint, or throw shade from the shadows. She detonated a full-blown allegation bomb and stood there watching the shockwave. According to her, Neveah is not just struggling, not just stressed, but allegedly pregnant, allegedly homeless, and allegedly begging for help like the rent is due and the lights already got cut. If this sounds messy, that is because it is, and somehow it still manages to get worse by the second. The internet reacted the way it always does when chaos shows up uninvited, with screenshots, theories, memes, and people suddenly acting like certified detectives with Wi-Fi degrees. This is the kind of drama that makes reality TV look underwritten and makes the Kardashians feel like a calm documentary about interior design. If you blinked, you missed the first explosion. But do not worry, the aftershocks are just getting started. The internet did not ease into this moment. It tripped over it, spilled its drink, and somehow still managed to hit record. Karlissa did not arrive with hints or vague quotes. She came in swinging like she had been waiting for this exact second to unload everything she had been holding back. The claim landed loud and unapologetic, framed less like gossip and more like a declaration, the kind that dares anyone listening to say she is lying. According to her, Neveah is allegedly pregnant, allegedly homeless, and allegedly begging for help. And Karlissa delivered it with the confidence of someone who believes the microphone belongs to them. To understand why this instantly exploded, you have to understand that this circle thrives on tension. Nothing here is clean, quiet, or resolved. Every relationship feels like it was built on unfinished arguments and half-buried resentment. Karlissa and Neveah have never existed in a vacuum. They exist in a universe where every look, every post, and every comment carries history. So when Karlissa spoke, people did not hear a random outburst. They heard years of unresolved drama finally spilling over. What made this moment feel different was the tone. This was not framed as concern. There was no soft language, no sympathy, no "I hope she's okay." This was sharp, public, and intentionally humiliating. Allegations of pregnancy alone can flip someone's public narrative overnight, but pairing that with claims of homelessness and begging turned it into something much darker. It felt less like information and more like a character teardown performed in front of an audience. The reaction online was instant and chaotic. Because this is the kind of drama that thrives on shock value, comment sections filled up faster. Then, facts, with people picking sides before anyone could even verify a single detail. Some viewers treated Karlissa like a truth teller, finally saying what everyone else was scared to say. Others accused her of weaponizing rumors for attention, calling it clout chasing dressed up as honesty. Either way, the clip spread, and once something like this starts moving, there is no pause button. Screenshots and screen recordings began circulating almost immediately. Because nothing fuels internet fire like the fear that something might get deleted. Every word Karlissa said was replayed, slowed down, analyzed, and reinterpreted by people who suddenly became experts in tone analysis. A pause here meant hesitation. A laugh there meant cruelty. And a raised voice meant certainty, at least according to the court of public opinion. The timing only made it worse. This did not drop during a quiet news cycle. It landed when people were already primed for chaos. Social media thrives on spectacle, and this delivered exactly that. Influencer pages jumped on it without hesitation, slapping dramatic captions on reposts and letting the comments do the rest. Context was optional. Outrage was mandatory. Neveah's silence in those early hours became its own storyline. Online, silence is never neutral. People read it as guilt, shock, strategy, or fear depending on which side they already chose. Every minute she did not respond, the narrative grew larger and messier, filling the gaps with assumptions and worst-case theories. Some claimed she was scrambling behind the scenes, others insisted she was consulting lawyers, and a few argued she was simply trying to survive the storm. Karlissa, meanwhile, did not appear interested in backtracking. The energy coming off her statements suggested someone who felt justified, someone who believed she was exposing reality rather than creating chaos. That confidence is what made the situation so combustible. When allegations are delivered without hesitation, audiences tend to assume there must be something backing them up. Even when no proof is presented, the pregnancy claim alone sent people spiraling. Suddenly, old photos were being dug up, outfits were being analyzed, and timelines were being reconstructed by strangers with too much time and a search bar. Every loose hoodie became evidence. Every angle was scrutinized, and speculation turned into a full-time hobby. It was invasive, relentless, and entirely fueled by one explosive statement. The homelessness claim hit differently, though, because it carried a different kind of stigma. It was not just about circumstance, it was about status. It framed Neveah as fallen, desperate, and powerless, and that framing felt intentional. Many viewers pointed out that even if it were true, blasting it publicly felt cruel. Others argued that public figures invite public scrutiny, and sympathy does not trend as well as shock. As the clip continued to circulate, the language around it grew harsher. What started as claims quickly became facts in the minds of some viewers, simply because repetition creates illusion. The more people saw it, the more real it felt, regardless of verification. That is the dangerous magic of viral drama. It turns allegations into accepted truth before anyone can catch their breath. This moment also reopened old wounds, dragging past conflicts back into the spotlight. People resurfaced previous arguments, shady comments, and tense exchanges, framing them as foreshadowing. Suddenly, everything felt connected, as if this eruption was inevitable rather than impulsive. The narrative shifted from "did this happen" to "this was bound to happen." The sarcasm online grew louder as the tension escalated. Memes compared the situation to reality shows that get canceled for being too toxic, while others joked that this was better scripted than half of cable television. Humor became a coping mechanism, a way for viewers to engage without fully confronting how messy and personal the situation actually was. By the end of the first wave, one thing was clear. This was no longer just Karlissa talking. This was a full-blown public spectacle, with Neveah at the center whether she wanted to be or not. The stage was set, the audience was locked in, and the tension was thick enough to cut. Whatever came next was not going to be quiet, controlled, or kind. Because once allegations like this escape into the wild, they do not come back the same. The moment the first wave settled, the second wave came crashing in harder, louder, and somehow even messier. This is where the situation stopped being just an argument and officially turned into a digital circus, complete with side characters, unsolicited opinions, and people who had never met Neveah suddenly speaking like they were her childhood friends. Karlissa may have lit the match, but the internet happily poured gasoline on it and stood back to watch the flames dance. As the clip continued circulating, the story started mutating in real time. What began as Karlissa's claims quickly turned into exaggerated headlines that felt like parody but were treated like breaking news. Influencer pages framed it as a downfall. Reaction channels labeled it an expose, and comment sections turned into therapy sessions, courtrooms, and comedy clubs all at once. Accuracy took a back seat because outrage was driving. Memes exploded everywhere. Because when drama reaches this level, humor becomes unavoidable. People compared the situation to reality shows that get canceled mid-season for being too chaotic. Others joked that the allegations had more plot twists than a Netflix documentary that drops at 3 a.m. and ruins your sleep schedule. Even the harshest accusations were being remixed into punchlines, which only made the situation feel more surreal. Celebrity-adjacent reactions started slipping into the conversation. Whether invited or not, people who had nothing to do with the situation were suddenly tagged, dragged, and expected to weigh in like this was a town hall meeting. Some offered vague comments about truth always coming out, while others dropped cryptic posts that fans immediately connected to the drama. Every emoji became a potential clue, every caption a possible side. The internet's favorite pastime, conspiracy building, went into overdrive. People began crafting theories about motives, timing, and hidden agendas. Some claimed Karlissa was retaliating for something that happened behind the scenes. Others insisted this was strategic, designed to shift attention away from another controversy brewing quietly. A few even suggested this was all performance art, because when reality feels this exaggerated, people assume there must be a script. Neveah's continued silence only amplified the noise. Without a direct response, the public filled the vacuum with assumptions that leaned extreme. Some framed her as overwhelmed and blindsided, while others painted her as guilty and hiding. Silence, in this environment, became a Rorschach test where people projected whatever narrative suited their bias each hour. Without a statement made, the story grew teeth. Karlissa, meanwhile, seemed unfazed by the backlash. The confidence in her delivery turned into a symbol for her supporters, who argued that nobody speaks that boldly without believing their own words. Critics countered that confidence does not equal truth, especially when clout and attention are currency. The debate became less about facts and more about character, and that shift made reconciliation feel impossible. The pregnancy rumor took on a life of its own. Fans and critics alike began combing through old content, looking for changes in appearance, gaps in posting, or anything that could be twisted into proof. Every old photo was re-examined like it was evidence in a cold case. The irony was thick, because the more people searched, the more they revealed how little actual information they had. The homelessness claim sparked its own wave of outrage. Many viewers pushed back hard, calling it irresponsible and cruel to weaponize such an accusation publicly. Others argued that public figures live public lives, and nothing is off limits anymore. The debate split comment sections into moral arguments about accountability, privacy, and exploitation, none of which slowed the spread of the story. Reaction videos flooded timelines, each one louder than the last. Some creators pretended to be shocked while clearly thrilled to have content that would perform. Others framed themselves as neutral while leaning heavily into sarcasm and speculation. The echo chamber grew, with creators bouncing off each other's takes until it became impossible to trace the original claim back to its source. Pop culture comparisons started flying. Because this drama felt bigger than itself, people likened it to celebrity meltdowns that defined eras, moments where one statement reshaped an entire narrative. Some joked that this made famous feuds look like polite disagreements over brunch. The exaggeration was part of the spectacle, turning a messy situation into entertainment. As the outrage peaked, public perception began to harden. For some, Karlissa became the villain, accused of punching down and exploiting vulnerability. For others, she became a brutal truth-teller, unafraid to say what others would not. Neveah, caught in the middle, was reduced to an idea rather than a person. Her reality overshadowed by rumors and reaction content. The situation also exposed how quickly empathy disappears online. Even people who criticized Karlissa still engaged with the content, liked posts, and shared clips, fueling the very machine they claimed to hate. Outrage became performance, and performance became profit, blurring the line between commentary and exploitation. By this stage, the story was no longer about whether the claims were true. It was about momentum. The narrative had reached escape velocity, moving faster than any correction could. Even if facts emerged, they would have to fight against days of speculation and amplified chaos. The damage, at least reputationally, was already done. The twists kept coming because every new post, reaction, or subtweet felt like another chapter. People stayed glued to their screens, refreshing feeds like something else might drop at any second. The anticipation itself became addictive, a reminder of how digital drama thrives not just on events, but on the promise of what might happen next. By the end of this phase, the chaos had fully matured into a cultural moment. This was not just gossip anymore. It was a case study in how quickly narratives are built, distorted, and consumed. The stage was crowded, the noise was deafening, and the fallout was looming. Because when a story burns this bright, it never fades quietly. By the time the noise started to settle, the damage was already baked in. This was no longer a viral moment that could be laughed off or scrolled past. It had crossed into the uncomfortable zone where reputations start shifting and relationships start cracking under pressure. What Karlissa said did not just echo, it lingered, hanging over everyone involved like a fog that refused to clear. Even people who claimed they were over it kept circling back. Because unresolved chaos has a way of pulling attention right back in. For Neveah, the aftermath was brutal in a way that only the internet can deliver. Regardless of whether the claims were true, exaggerated, or completely fabricated, the narrative had already been written for her by strangers. Pregnancy rumors stuck like glue. Homelessness allegations reshaped how people spoke about her, and the idea of desperation became a label she never volunteered for. In the court of public opinion, perception often matters more than reality. And perception had already run wild. Every move she made after that moment was scrutinized. If she posted, people accused her of distraction. If she stayed quiet, they called it confirmation. If she smiled, they said she was pretending. If she looked tired, they claimed it proved everything. There was no winning, because the internet does not want resolution. It wants continuation. Once someone becomes the center of a viral storm, normal behavior stops being interpreted normally. Karlissa, on the other hand, emerged from the chaos with her own consequences. While her supporters doubled down, praising her for being real and unfiltered, critics sharpened their knives. Accusations of cruelty, attention-seeking, and punching down followed her across platforms. Some argued she crossed a line that could not be uncrossed, especially by publicly attaching humiliation to alleged vulnerability. Others insisted she simply said what she believed and refused to apologize for it. What became clear was that this moment redefined how people viewed her. She was no longer just outspoken, she was polarizing. Every future statement would now be filtered through this eruption, because once someone is seen as capable of detonating a situation this publicly, audiences expect it again. The internet has a long memory when drama delivers, and this delivered. In excess. Relationships within this already messy circle took hits as well. Allegiances shifted quietly, with people choosing sides without ever announcing it. Subtle unfollows were noticed, interactions stopped, and silence between certain names spoke louder than any statement. In these spaces, absence is communication, and the lack of public support was read as judgment. The broader impact stretched beyond just the individuals involved. This situation reignited debates about boundaries in online culture. Viewers began arguing about whether everything is fair game once someone is public-facing. Some insisted that transparency justifies exposure, while others pushed back, saying, "There is a difference between accountability and exploitation." The irony was that these debates played out in comment sections that continued amplifying the very drama they criticized. Public trust also took a hit because moments like this blur the line between truth and performance. When allegations are delivered with confidence but without evidence, audiences are left guessing what to believe. Over time, that uncertainty erodes credibility across the board. People become numb, treating serious claims like entertainment because they have been conditioned to expect exaggeration. This is where the situation revealed its most uncomfortable truth. Viral drama does not need confirmation to be effective. It only needs attention. By the time anyone demands proof, the cycle has already moved on, leaving behind reputational scars that do not heal easily. Even if clarifications come later, they rarely travel as far or as fast as the original chaos. The memes faded slowly, replaced by new scandals fighting for attention, but the residue remained. Search results, old clips, and reaction videos did not disappear. They sat there waiting to be rediscovered the next time a related name trended. In the digital age, nothing fully dies. It just sleeps until the algorithm wakes it up again. For observers, this became another reminder of how quickly narratives can turn ruthless. One explosive moment can undo months or years of carefully curated image. Sympathy is fleeting, outrage is profitable, and nuance rarely survives the first repost. Everyone involved became a case study in what happens when personal conflict collides. With public platforms, yet even with all the fallout, curiosity remained. People did not feel satisfied. They felt suspended. Questions lingered about motives, truth, and what might still be hiding beneath the surface. That unresolved tension is what keeps stories like this alive. The internet does not crave closure. It craves the next chapter. As attention slowly shifted elsewhere, one thing became undeniable. This was not just a messy moment. It was a defining one. It reshaped how people saw Karlissa, how they spoke about Neveah, and how this entire circle would be perceived moving forward. The lines were redrawn, the mask slipped, and the audience learned, once again, that in the world of viral chaos, reputations are fragile and drama is always one post away from exploding all over again. And this is where we stop pretending this was just internet drama, because moments like this are exactly why the timeline never sleeps. One post, one eruption, one reckless sentence, and suddenly lives, reputations, and narratives are flipped upside down in real time. If you think this was the last chapter, you have not been paying attention. In this space, chaos does not end. It takes breaks. So now it is on you. Drop your thoughts in the comments and do not play safe, because safe takes do not move conversations.